headed back westbound on Hollywood Boulevard. Simon Desk from Alpha. Are we streaming on Telemundo as well, or just NBC?
Organized, we can chill. Matter of fact, perfect. And if they got an issue with that, then we can stand.
Hang on, whoa, let's get this straight, right?
Go to the bar club and wait on that phone. I need everybody to know this.
Super, we'll go take a
look. No, I need everybody to know this.
Let me punch in an address real quick, sir. There may be some looting that they want to look at.
Not you. I give you my word. You can look me up. Get my license number. We have money to bail you out.
Hollywood and Argyle, just about a mile away.
Lawyers, you are okay. I give you my honest to God word. You can look me up. Come to court with me on the 16th. There's a reason why there's a bunch of lawyers standing.
Darren, let me say this.
Talk to him.
Let me say this.
I got a couple of them too.
I do not want to put people in harm's way. This is your first time out here. Realize it's going to get real. So I'm telling you, you got 30 minutes to get back to your car or get home.
It's a serious
Stay out
discussion
here
going on
with us.
with those
Be
who are.
prepared to go to jail. Be prepared to get bruised. Get prepared to either have to have stitches. Be prepared to get hit with rubber bullets. So I don't want to put people in harm's way. I know you guys came that way with some other people. But we've been doing work all over this city for many, many years. So I want people to understand at 10 o'clock, it's going to get real out here. So I'm telling you.
Hey, everybody here, they going for this shit.
All right, so again, I say, man, my Jim, you go wait for the walls around. I know they kind of feel like the
Let me time to buckle up.
Y'all want to be real about it? Y'all want to organize? Y'all really want to get together, man? And y'all want to show you have to shut this shit down? We can do that. Y'all make sure find me. Find Antonio. There's a couple more people over there, man. Give me y'all information. Y'all to get everything that we gonna have going on. Y'all gonna get y'all in training and we can learn to act. Damn. But it's like you do that tonight. I'm gonna be out here as long as y'all need. But at the end of the day, I say we go to the parking lot. And if they come to the parking lot, we can decide then how we want to play this. But if they say we can have that parking lot, let's take our parking lot.
Well, I think this is Buckner. Is this Buckner?
No, that's not Buckner.
Sir, let me ask you.
This is Sam Harmon with the
I don't think it needs to be said why you're out here postured, but go ahead and tell the audience why you're out here armed to the teeth in front of your store.
Protecting my store. Protecting my life.
Are you worried about the vandalism that has taken place?
Yeah, of course. I worked hard for this. Nobody did anything about it.
Have there been any efforts to break in your store, vandalize it?
I was surrounded by 900 fucking people at one point.
Sometime today?
No, not today.
Previously?
It was Friday.
And did police help, or were they preoccupied?
They were too busy, and I feel bad for them.
A lot of other businesses I've noticed have boarded up. Why didn't you just board up?
Because I'm here. I don't need it.
Let me ask you this as a final question.
It's not gonna do me any good anyway. When they want to set anything on fire, they're gonna set it on fire, and it's easier to set wood on fire.
Do you have a position one way or the other on these protests, or are you more in the position of, look, this is my business, I'm protecting it, I don't care what your cause is? Go ahead. You need some help up? Okay, I know there's a lot of heavy stuff on there.
Yeah, kind of.
Right.
Look, I've been here for 5 days. All right? I am not against protesting, peaceful protesting. I'm all for it. It's your constitutional right, period. But going after businesses, going after people, destroying somebody's life for stupidity,
What the cause is.
that's not a good thing. And it's not
Today was the largest protest I had seen. Folks who were tear gas told us earlier they still intend to come out. How much longer can you do this, and how much business are you losing by the fact that you're in downtown and there seems to be perpetual protests all the time?
business. I've been losing a lot since the corona started till now.
It's even before this.
It's a whole different level. So
Are you hoping that I didn't see your dog? Oh, don't catch my dog fetish on here. Are you hoping that there will be a resolution of some kind so we can get back to business as usual down here?
resolution for what?
As far as the police protests, as far as people's concerns about the shootings that have taken place?
Really, they want to really protest, in my opinion, protest in the right way, but not by looting.
Would you say tonight was a good example of that? There wasn't any looting or...
So far, nothing happened. So far. But this is the right time when
The night is young for you.
when those roaches, they will come out and destroy everything. This is the right time for it. And you want my opinion? Look, man, this whole issue about race need to be done, ended, period. This whole thing about, oh, police are bad, blah, 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 blah. Not all of them are bad. We're not denying the fact that there's some bad apples.
You think the Breonna Taylor shooting was an example of bad apples?
Had they finished with the investigation?
I couldn't hear you over the helicopters.
Did they finish the investigation yet?
The investigation into her shooting? No.
We cannot judge it. You cannot judge a book by its cover.
So the facts that you know thus far about the case, about the use of no-knock warrants, are you okay with that? Do you think the no-knock warrants should be stopped, or do you think that's something that we should be allowed to continue?
As I know from people that I know, they had a legit search warrant.
Because Tom Wine, the Commonwealth's attorney here in Louisville, Jefferson County, he said at his most recent press conference that no amount of drug money and no amount of drugs is worth a human life. Should we be knocking down people's doors to get drugs and drug money?
I thought drugs are actually destroying lives.
That's what he said. That's what he said.
Hold on a second.
That's what the top prosecutor said.
It's politic. Now, if you want to get on the politics side of this shit, or the shit show, that's a whole different level. Look.
So you intend to be out here no matter how long it takes? Even if it's 5 more days, 5 more weeks.
If it takes 5 more years. I've been here for 5 days. Absolutely. They actually keep checking on me every hour.
So it was good talking to you, as always, man. Be safe out here.
But let me say something.
And it looks like you got plenty to be safe. I mean, do you have a magnet on here too, a can opener? Okay.
Before you change the subject, if I was the mayor of Louisville, I would walk straight to jail to have them arrest me.
Police?
I would have the jail arrest me for treason. Period.
Oh, so you think the mayor has committed treason? Gotcha.
If I was the mayor, because look, political correctness in this country is destroying it.
So you can't count on your vote in the next 4 years?
Absolutely. I will not vote for his ass. That's for
You can't run again anyway. Well, good, sir. Good speaking to you.
And the governors.
Good luck with you. And if you have a stapler, please let me know. You have a lot of stuff on there, man. You got a lot of. No. Oh, you're closed. Though. You're closed. Good speaking to you though. Good luck though. Seriously, keep your business safe. Look, as a native Louisvillian,
I grew up in Minneapolis and George Floyd, man.
As a native Louisvillian,
Welcome to DC.
Yeah.
there will be those who will say this reminds me of '68, and there may be some parallels in people's mind, but I think this is an unprecedented level of protesting. It's an unprecedented level of group of folks who are out. Clearly, we all have various different opinions and ways to handle those opinions, as you saw just down the street here. I mean, my man was dressed up like Bob. What was his name? Baghdad Bob. I mean, he was dressed up like Rambo to defend his business. And those are people who have legitimate concerns. But the vast majority of folks who are protesting will tell you their chief concern remains what happened to Breonna Taylor and what happened to David McAtee. And I did notice that you did see a contingency of folks, activists, protesters, who are trying to keep others away from vandalizing businesses or government buildings. I can just tell you, as a native Louisvillian, this is not usual. Louisville is not known as a protest city, but that has clearly changed. I mean, I don't know what's happening in the rest of the country right now, but you had massive protests here tonight, and it looks like they're going to continue. And the question is for those in power, not those not in power, but those in power, what decisions are they going to make that will both quell and perhaps die down these protests, but also satisfy those across the political spectrum who have expressed legitimate concerns and outrage about what happened to Breonna Taylor and recently to David McAtee. I mean, so again, various different folks around here. Now downtown is completely a desert. It's empty. It's a ghost town down here. But it may not be like that tomorrow. There hasn't been one activist or one young person who I've bumped into today who says, I'm not coming back now. And if tear gas and rubber bullets won't turn them away, what will? Perhaps there will come this week. You know, this was supposed to be the day of reflection. Mayor Fisher said this was supposed to be the day of reflection. I don't think there was a lot of reflecting going on. So the question for him and others is, what is going to be the resolution? Don't know that yet. Again, this is Philip Bailey, political writer here at the Courier-Journal. Thank you for joining us. We'll stay atop of this issue as long as we can. And thank you for watching.
or Lil Wayne to step out here and make a change, because they're looking at every black man like a thug because of most of the rap music. But I'm not speaking against it, because I can rap myself and I love a little liquor. At the same time, I know for a fact every black man should be looked at as a thug. And I know this, We're going to change what the hood is. We're going to make it a little bit clearer. Not just we, black people. I'm talking about America because it's not just a black hood. It's American land. Cleanliness is godliness.
And so, to clarify, is everyone in there that they were arrested last night or the past few days that you're trying to release, or are there more people that you're trying to release that were arrested before that?
We're trying to release everyone that tonight, of course, we require everyone that is released who was a part of this protest. Now, after tonight, we're letting them know we want everyone who is not in there for a violent crime to be housed somewhere else. It is proven. I was just locked up
We might have a pursue.
the night before last.
Santa Monica.
They told me,
But we also have
multiple officers said, you have to wear this mask. There is COVID-19 in this building.
we just have to
They're being
wait
killed.
a
We
minute
want
because they're going
everybody
to use our pictures
to
right
come out
now.
of there. If you are not
and then we
there for a violent crime.
They're still deciding whether or not
You
to
want
follow it.
everyone to come out of there. We can house them somewhere else. I understand
It's
call
gonna
them
be
criminals
just off
if
of
that's
Santa
what they did,
Monica.
but you can't even call them a criminal because you're housing them
And
before court. You can't call them a criminal
The
yet.
airship's going
You
there
cannot
now.
judge them as a criminal because you think they did it, because you charged them with,
It's like
because
kind
I know
of
for a
like
fact,
Thailand and Santa
I was
Monica.
just charged with obstruction. We're guilty before proven innocent. If that's what that is, we have to give them their rights.
Check
You
where
don't
they
sit
are,
them in
Clinton.
there
They're
with the
they're checking
deadly
to see if
virus.
they're in,
Let
if there's
Trump say,
anyone else in there.
Trump, we need you. If you truly care about America,
but
God
we know
bless
that
you.
the booth
I
is
will
about to
always
use our
love
view-
all
shot
who
for
loves
a
all.
tease, so
But if you hate anyone,
the
and I
grayling,
do
never mind. It's
anyone
over.
that is an American brother of mine,
Hey, 30 seconds.
I don't have the same type of feeling. And I promise you, I am a very respectful man. I love Martin Luther King. He had a dream, but I say wake up and make that dream a reality. And I'll do it a different kind of way. At the same time, as long as you come peaceful, we'll be peaceful. We're not attacking, we're defending ourselves. We love you. God bless.
Thank you for your time, Darren.
No problem.
Hi, this is Sam Hardiman with the Commercial Appeal part of the USA Today Network. You just heard from Darren Aston, one of the activists here. There is about a group of maybe more than 50 people outside of 201 Poplar, which in Shelby County, Tennessee, is where about 1,900 inmates are housed. He was saying that he is, this group is here to secure the release of more than several dozen people that he says are still inside after being arrested last night after protests, and the police ordered them to disperse. This is the sixth night of protests against police brutality in Memphis. And you know, there's a parking lot across the street. I'll turn to show you. This is the group behind me, and there's a 10 p.m. curfew. So right now we're about 12 minutes away from that, and so Aston says that the Sheriff's Department has assured them if they stay in this parking lot, they will not be interfered with, and we'll see what happens. We're going to stay here with you.
Like I said, it's not to stop you, so don't take it too personal. It's just to anybody who say that shit, anybody who understand what's going on.
You still standing there. You're not for us. You're not helping us by standing there. You're not with the group that's waiting. Get these brothers out.
Y'all already know.
Regroup tomorrow.
You know me, girl. They're gonna have to start preaching about this shit. This shit run deep, man. I feel this was right.
You see, the group is just quiet. There's no chanting.
They were waiting till they
There's,
put their
you know,
helmets
just
to,
people milling
their
about
helmets.
in a parking lot.
And probably be watching us online. We're at
We'll
Eleanor
see,
and
you know,
Gower, here in the Hollywood
the exception to
area. This is
Mayor Strickland's curfew, according to the text of his executive order, and what he said today are essential workers due to COVID-19, as well as people with health emergencies.
So the LAPD
It's unclear if a group waiting to getting people out of 201 Poplar
This
is going to fit that.
suspect now going
And we'll see. I'm not
police custody
certain
for
what's going to
looting.
happen. There may
But now
not be
we're
a
gonna move
confrontation.
over and we're gonna
There
try
may
to
be.
find that large crowd of protesters that we were monitoring before. I believe they're going to be
You can see right now there is not a heavy police presence. You can see cruisers at the end of the street, but there is not really any.
But they never said that he was part of any demonstration or protest.
Let's see, where
This is where we're doing bail support, y'all.
So this is once again being repeated for bail support. This is for people who are locked up inside, who are incarcerated, who are arrested as part of this. You heard Darren Abston earlier. If you were with us, he was, concerned about the outbreak of COVID-19 in the jail. It's a substantial outbreak of COVID-19. More than 100 people have tested positive inside 201. Those who have tested positive are not still all there. You can see that there's now a police chopper overhead. That chopper has not made the rounds that much recently. Again, Abston's going over.
Hey, how's it going?
Yeah.
It's tonight. We made a deal with them because we want our own people out of there. The objective right now is not to fight, to get into a big old crazy. The thing is,
So again,
we're going
objective
to
is not a confrontation.
Get our people out. They said, of course, as long as we don't have a crazy crowd out here, they will let our people that we've already bonded out. They will release them. We made a deal with them. So unless you are family.
Hi, everyone. Go ahead, Chuck. I'm Colleen Williams along with Chuck Henry.
I was just going to say we got a lot of activity in Hollywood tonight. I counted at least 4 interesting things that are going on. We had some arrests, 20 people arrested, handcuffs, legged and bound, 1 suspect. And what was interesting was they were lined up along the Hollywood Walk of Fame there with the Stars Pavilions. At Melrose.
Everyone, hold on. Stay with us here.
25
My
officers
scroll's
in
going
the
to hold the
store.
feed.
I believe there's some looters inside. Another guy was arrested as a suspected looter was picked up at Eleanor and Gower in a residential area, and now Eliana Moreno is over to what is left of what was mostly a peaceful protest in Hollywood. Eliana.
Take curfew. I don't care. Right now, tonight, we got to get them out of jail.
Chuck, we're looking at the picture. I don't hear Eliana, but that looks like the Laugh Factory there. That is certainly an iconic spot. And as we look at this, we want to remind people that curfew went into effect at 6 o'clock tonight. So we're coming up on 2 hours there. We heard from the LAPD earlier today that at about 5:30, they started warning people, started to give them a heads up they needed to get off the street. As you pointed out, a lot of people have been arrested, but there's still a lot of stragglers. And some of them are very peaceful. But the point is they don't want anyone on the street.
Yeah, especially the ones that they've already arrested for looting. I guess the big one was really that Pavilion supermarket. It was really strange because the Pavilion had been blocked. We think it was the management of the store to prevent looters from going inside. And then you had the odd scene where they opened the front doors and you got 25 LAPD officers, climbing over the barricade to get inside the store. And now they are running from something. Let's see if we can make contact with them.
The reality is, it's going to be 7 minutes. And
I can check it out. Right at Sunset and Laurel.
It is rolling. So, thank you, Darren. Appreciate it.
That's what got everyone running. So they're running back towards the intersection of Sunset and Laurel. This is a group of protesters that we've really been following now the last few hours. They started marching from Crescent and Sunset. They eventually ended up in the Highland area.
Is there a group of people at the bridge right now?
Yes. And now they believe technically we have the West Hollywood here. And they have been peacefully protesting so that they're really not associated with any looting that has taken place. But there we go. That individual
So we're going to walk So the Hernando Soto Bridge.
Just kind of fell down there. Sunset and Floyd, as you can see,
they're not gonna.
deputies from the LA County Sheriff's Department moving it.
We're leaving 201 Poplar. There's a group.
That was very unusual. I'm not sure whether it was a Rite Aid, CVS,
Please, would you?
there was one broken window there, and there were a couple of protesters, I'd say, maybe half a dozen or so, who were trying to keep looters away.
So you hear people telling people to leave, those that are here to pick up people out of 201 Poplar. If you're not here for that, they're telling you to leave. We're gonna leave. We hear there's a disturbance on the Hernando Soto Bridge, so we're gonna walk this way. It is about 5 minutes to 10 o'clock. It's curfew. And so we're walking down Poplar Avenue in Memphis. Some of my colleagues with me.
We're asking them, please move the area. We also saw some very similar yesterday outlets that is on the beach where the good side, we're trying to keep the looters from.
You didn't hear our little back chat here.
They can only do so much. They can only wrap up the people who are really opportunists rather than a lot better word for here to take advantage of the situation.
Are they going to leave the area?
Yeah, look, they're actually U-turn. They're leaving the area back in the direction that they came. That was really interesting.
So guys, we're walking down Poplar Avenue. We're going to see what's happening at the Hernando Soto Bridge. There's allegedly still a disturbance there. There's been traffic going through it from what I saw all night.
We just drove. We'll see if they get out of their cars again. Perhaps they just want to position themselves further to the east. But that was rather interesting.
I don't know if there's a disturbance on the bridge. We hear that. We've been told that. Joe Rondoni. Joe, you just drove over the bridge like 45 minutes ago? So what's going on with the traffic? Okay. Okay. So one of the planned protests tonight was a slowdown on the I-40 bridge. This was at the march. Tried to walk there last night, and that was when tear gas was deployed on the protest. But now it is it's about 2 minutes to 10. So I'm Sam Hardiman with the Commercial Appeal. The streets are pretty much empty. We're going to see what happens as curfew comes in Memphis. Journalists are among the essential workers. They're allowed to be at after curfew. We're sticking together. We're wearing helmets and glasses just because of tear gas last night. But we don't expect any trouble at this point.
There really isn't too much traffic at this point. These protesters don't really have caused any issues.
We're going to continue walking back to where our cars were, and we're going to check on the Hernando Soto Bridge. So if you want to stay with us, please do. I'm going to check out Riverside and see what's going on.
As many as 200 to 300 protesters in the downtown area. Sort of where the mission is. If you're familiar with that area, I was monitoring some of the pictures coming in upstairs. We know that sheriff's deputies and Riverside PD are getting ready to move in on them. So we'll keep an eye on the situation. We'll get to that. This is one area in Hollywood right now, Hayward and Sunset.
Police chopper overhead. I don't know if anyone is still out.
Some of the larger groups of protesters are right now.
You can see there's a police presence in front of us. You're still with us here in Memphis.
This last hour, but we did take a look at that protest group.
Scooting across the street, it was a little.
That was the group that you saw on the 455 freeway near the Boulevard exit.
I just kind of jaywalked a little bit. I apologize. It kind of was stuck between a rock and a hard crosswalk there.
I say at least 2 dozen, if not 3 dozen people, very close to, I believe it's going to be Beverly Glen and roughly that area near the golf course. And we saw that they were all being taken into custody by the LAPD. We did not notice any protesters near the
What time is it? It is just about 10 o'clock. So we are at curfew.
The freeway has cleared, but we did notice that.
I'm going to drop back to my colleagues here. You can see there's a police presence in front of us. We're going to take you around on curfew to see what's happening.
Part of the other was over on Hollywood Boulevard. You showed us. I guess there were 20 people lined up on the curb there. Next to Hollywood stars. Is this group a part of that? Or is this totally separate?
I think that at one point they probably were part of the same group because when we were flying over this crowd earlier, it was a lot larger than what we're seeing here right now. We estimated that it was a crowd of at least 400 people, if not more. And so what we're seeing here is significantly less than that. So at some point, I believe that they did split off, and that group has already been arrested. And not necessarily for looting. They are taking people into custody for looting, but just an overall reason why they're taking people into custody is for violating curfew. So one of the things I heard over the scanner is
We're walking back to our cars here. We're on Poplar Avenue.
They don't really need that.
Live streaming, there's some Tennessee State Troopers.
They're just taken into custody for breaking curfew. And of course, if they get information or they get surveillance footage that leads them to believe that person could have possibly also been involved in looting, then they could add that charge later on. But for now, at least tonight, anyone who's out here.
This has been a subdued protest tonight.
Ileana, looking at the screen right now.
You can see a heavy law enforcement presence up there. Curfew is now in effect.
A few minutes ago, this is that pavilion, I believe, was on Melrose.
Some barricades. That's Civic Center Plaza right there. So on my left is Memphis. This is the Shelby County building. This is a City of Memphis building that houses the police department and the Housing and Community Development Department, among others.
They had heard that there was looting going on inside. And the reason that the officers had such a time getting in the door was that the store, we believe it was the store, put up all sorts of barriers in the front of the door to try to keep people out, to keep people away from looting. That particular pavilion, I believe, has a pharmacy, and of course it has other items that looters would be interested in getting. And so we heard that there was some looting taking place. We went over there, and when we did, they already had about 10 or 12 people in custody sitting down on Vine. But the officers weren't sure they had everyone. The store's rather large. So what they did was they cleared a path for themselves by taking pallets down and taking other articles out of the way. And then they all started
Hello, everyone. It's a couple minutes after curfew here.
There was easily 20 officers that made their way into the store to check things out and see if anybody else was inside. We haven't heard if they found anybody else in addition to the people that they already had in custody, but they had to double check to be sure.
And Eliana, as we continue also to see on the left side of your screen, the protesters that you're overhead, they're still on Sunset, correct?
Correct. They're still on Sunset. They just passed over Fairfax. The next street coming up, I believe, is going to be Genesee, is what we're hearing. And I'm also listening to something on the scanner. There's a possibility that there could be either a following or pursuit in the area. We have heard about a few followings in the area about regarding possible looters. The officers will begin following those vehicles and eventually get them to pull over. So far, we haven't had a pursuit come out of it all, but they are now coming Sunset Boulevard and Genesee here in the Hollywood area.
Now, as we continue to look at this, we want to remind you there is a curfew. The mayor reminded us of that this afternoon. He said it is from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. And simply put, it means you have to stay indoors. Doesn't mean you can drive on the street. Doesn't mean you can walk on the street. It means you have to stay inside. Ileana, these cars, this line of cars right here, would appear to be part of this procession of protesters here.
Some of them are part of the protest. You can look at this vehicle there, for example, the people hanging out the window. A car like this makes it pretty obvious to us, and we know that they're a part of the protest. The other vehicles, though, it's hard to tell. Really, everyone should be indoors by now, so it would lead us to believe that if these vehicles are following some of the protesters, they most likely are somehow involved with the protest and with the cause of having their voices heard this evening. But you can see that there's still quite a few cars out here. I mean, they really shouldn't be out here. It's past 6 o'clock. Again, whether you're in a car or whether you're on foot in the area, if you're out here past 6 o'clock, you could get arrested.
Eliana, do we have any idea where they're headed? I mean, is it possible they could be going back to their parked cars after participating most of the afternoon in this protest? Or
are they headed eastbound or westbound? I'm kind of curious as well, Chuck.
Yeah, so they're going eastbound on Sunset, and I know that they started at Sunset and Crescent. So we're not too far from the area. Ideally, that's what they're doing, is walking back over to Crescent and Sunset where this all began. And I'm continuing to get a little distracted here because we're hearing again on the scanner, it sounds like there may be either a following or a pursuit in the area, and the vehicle may have attempted to run over some officers. So we're keeping an ear on that, and then also continuing to follow the protesters here as they make their way on Sunset coming up to Curson.
Now, we haven't heard any numbers on number of people arrested out there today, but we heard Chief Moore earlier say there'd been as many as 700 arrests, and I'm not sure if that was over the weekend or just yesterday. I think it may have been a culmination of Saturday and Sunday, but 75 people arrested for more serious crimes in LA County. And there you see
Sorry about that,
Eliana, I'm kind of interested in the pursuit that you're listening to. Is it in this general area?
Yeah, it's in the general area. I'm trying to get the exact cross, and the airship
So
overhead.
once again, this is Sam Hardeman with the Commercial Appeal. We're walking down an empty Main Street mall.
What we're hearing, and Normandy. So we're going to see if we can maybe catch
It
up
is
to that.
still right now here in Memphis. About 10 minutes after curfew started at 10 p.m.
What the want is.
You see a heavy police presence. You don't see much else.
He's wanted for shooting.
You don't really see, across the country there have been windows boarded up. There's some damage done last night to Rhapsody. That's the first time I'm seeing this. I've walked this strip a couple of times now.
Okay, and now they're calling it a pursuit.
So you can see that there isn't the heavy apprehension in the local business community. You see some boards, but not large-scale protective measures being taken, because the protests here in Memphis for 6 days, including tonight, have been largely peaceful.
They took off lights and I assume sirens as well when they left the area.
My colleagues are now making fun of me for how much I'm enjoying narrating what is nothing right now.
And it's the second one. There was another one in Van Nuys this afternoon where the police there, the LAPD, was trying to keep track of a couple of looters. I don't know what the end result was, but it's a dangerous situation, very dicey, even though people are supposed to be off the street. You see more people walking in the street in some areas as part of this peaceful protest.
I think that, if we're going to comment on Lord of the Rings movies, I think that Two Towers is the best movie for those of us still watching.
Was it Alpha or Bravo that sent it out?
It was good. It's a lot better tonight, to be honest. When I was hearing the phone was pretty tough. And so here, this is the Courtyard Marriott. Last night there was a chair thrown through that window. Now there's a board.
It's probably hard to pick out where that pursuit is going. And now we have some video from Riverside. Do I understand that correct?
Yeah, that's what we're seeing, I think, on the split screen there. Yes, Chuck, and there you see the sheriff's deputies. That's some of the video I was watching.
This is, we're going on a tour of downtown Memphis. These are the trolley tracks. This is Court Square. During times when there isn't a pandemic, on Thursdays, there's a food truck cart during the summertime. And, the thousands of people who work downtown congregate here.
To the protesters that they're in solidarity with them over the shooting, or not the shooting, I'm sorry, the death of George Floyd, the knee to the neck.
And so we're getting reports from our other reporters who follow the main body of protesters who do not
have
broke off
spoken
and
out
walked
against
away
that
from that
particular
splinter group,
policing
that
tactic.
I'm a Man
And,
Plaza,
what we're seeing is
which is
the
where
officers
sanitation marches
trying to let
began
the protesters know
during the
they-
Poor
they
People's
agree
Campaign
with
in
them as long as
Memphis
it's a peaceful protest.
that preceded
But then
Martin
they
Luther
see
King getting
themselves
killed.
lined
They
up after
dispersed.
curfew on
Carefully,
opposite
those who were
sides
at
of the
I'm
fence
Man
here.
Plaza, they dispersed.
Let's see if
Memphis
we
is
can
calm
establish
tonight during the night of
contact with
curfew.
Eliana again.
First night of curfew.
Eliana, got any more information on this pursuit?
Hey Chuck, yes we do. Last we heard was Fountain and Hyperion. And so we're probably just about a minute away. So we're just arriving on scene. At this point, we're
Still, you can smell the flowers.
He's going to be going eastbound. So we're trying to figure out if there's any units behind the vehicle. At this point, I don't think there is. I think it's just the airship. So it's going to be a little bit more difficult for us to find it, but we, of course, will do our best here. But
And once again, the want was that
there's
the
a
individual
spotlight
had.
about to come up on it, so that'll help us in our search here.
The want was that the individual was firing up fireworks at an officer. Was that it?
Yeah, so what we heard was that the person was wanted for shooting fireworks at officers as the vehicle was passing by. And so that was why they got the airship over, and now they're trying to get units behind it as well. Again, that's Hyperion were the last two cross streets that we heard, but really close to the Nickel Block area is where we're at now.
You know, that's one thing we saw this weekend many times in the Melrose area. On Melrose, some of the protesters were shooting across the police lines with fireworks, M80s, things like that. And, you know, as the mayor said today, you might think that is a cute idea. It might be funny at the time, but don't do anything that will mess up the rest of your life. Eliana, is this the car or the vehicle we're looking for?
Yeah, this is the vehicle we were looking for. We didn't have a vehicle description, so it made it a little bit more difficult, and there's no units directly behind it, which just adds to the difficulty, but thanks to my pilot, Sarah Garabetian, and then we monitored the airship overhead, we were finally able to find it here. It's in the Echo Park area, just off of Sunset and Lilac Terrace. You can see how fast this vehicle is moving, and I'll work to get our speedometer up and running so that we can monitor the speeds of this individual. You see that one unit of the LAPD just starting to arrive on scene there. So I'm monitoring here the streets as we come along, and I'm going to get our map overlay system up and running so we can look at the streets and the speeds together as it comes through the Echo Park area, continuing here on Sunset.
Yeah, that map,
They appeared in riot shields
right there
with
really does help us.
nightsticks, and they walked away. Tennessee State Trooper,
60 plus
after being asked by a Memphis police officer, Lewis Brownlee, to put down his nightstick, did, and that was
no police vehicles
it was a demonstration of the trust that is trying to be built right now, and maybe could be built between activists and police. But it is definitely a demonstration of how peaceful Memphis is.
Near Cesar Chavez intersection coming up. Let's see what happens. And this is where Sunset becomes Cesar Chavez, and now we have a unit of the LAPD behind the vehicle. Oh, and now he's getting on the freeway. Sure enough, getting on the freeway here. I'll figure out which direction here in just a moment. But it looks like it's going to be likely the 101 freeway. And there's another unit.
So everyone, I'm gonna sign off here. If there's something else going on, we'll come back.
Is in back of one of the police cruisers here.
Very curious shot there, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
And I believe.
So everyone, thank you on USA Today.
I was going to say, I believe
my colleagues are waving good night.
The 101 freeway here. We're going north-south 101.
Thank you for watching. There's a peaceful night of protest here in Memphis. We thought it could get tense, but
is this a caravan of officers headed somewhere else, and he just stumbled into this?
In Memphis
it very
ended
well
peacefully.
Could have been
Thanks for watching.
A group of officers that was heading up to Hollywood to assist with the arrests that were taking place, and they found themselves in the mix. Because look at that, they're going to continue
looks like it now.
So,
yeah, it does, doesn't it? Now, Eliana,
who would have thought we'd ever seen something like that?
Would the other officers know that there was a pursuit going on or not?
They would have known because they can see the night sun of the LAPD airship, and of course they can monitor the scanner, but they were likely asked not to get involved, and so for that reason is why we're only going to have that single unit that was originally behind the vehicle continue to pursue it, and the airship is still overhead. I continue to listen the way he is calling out the streets as the pursuit continues on, but we are just making a turn here onto Temple Street. Temple Street coming away from the 101.
So where are we technically? Downtown area?
We're not. I actually have MacArthur Park right out my window. So we're roughly in the MacArthur Park area on Temple, and I'll get you the next cross here coming up. I'm listening to the airship still. I want to see if he's going to send any more units because at this point we only have that one unit of the LAPD as this person continues to run the red light. He had the red there and he just continued straight through
How to make
here
money
on
from
Temple
quality
Street.
mid-cap stocks with less risk.
You know, it's interesting when we look at Eliana's shot there, Colleen, just how light the traffic is.
He wisely diversified his
There's
investment in 20
Metro
stocks.
bus, but
That is
very few
rupees
cars.
10,000
And I'm wondering as I look at this, and I pose this to both of you,
where he got satisfactory returns
is
in
there
short period of
only
time.
one
He held
black
quality
and white
stocks where
basically
returns were
following
yet
this
to come.
car? Because A, he
Mr.
can
Ray
maybe get the
reinvested
plates,
the
and
amount
B,
derived from sale of stock
whoever's
in
in the
new
car
quality stocks,
threw
as
fireworks
he
at
was
the
much
officers
aware
and no
about
one
common
was hurt.
saying that
I'm assuming that.
power of compounding is
Otherwise,
the
they
eighth
would have
wonder
more
of the
people
world.
following him.
Mr. Ray sold those stocks,
Yeah, we didn't
which
hear
were
if
not
anyone was
performing well
hurt when he threw the
in 1-2
fireworks
months as
in
per
their
his
direction,
expectation,
or what types of
and
fireworks it
invested
may
that
have
amount
been.
too in
Fireworks
new
may
quality
have just
stocks.
been the easiest
Mr.
way to
A felt very
describe
happy and
what this
satisfied
person threw.
for his
And
decision
so
to not
at
trade in
this point, I
futures,
widened out
options
just a
and
moment
intraday,
ago as you were
as he
speaking,
has
Colleen. I
already
wanted to
burned
see
his
if anybody
finger
else
there.
was behind the car.
Now
And
Mr.
at
Ray
this
found
point, I'm only
himself
seeing
able
that
to grow
one
his
cruiser.
investment
And
with
the pursuit, though,
diversification.
continuing on still
Midcap
relatively
Stock
fast speeds
gives you
for surface
recommendation of
streets,
two quality
approximately
mid-cap stock
60
every
miles
week
an hour.
with a
And I'm
target
going
of
to use my doubler
20%.
here. I want to see
We
how
don't
well we
depend
can
on
see
numbers
inside.
only.
I can
We
see
all-
the driver, but I can't really see anybody else. All the windows are just so darkly tinted.
Yeah, it would be very fortunate if no one was hurt, but we have had officers hurt over the weekend. One specifically sticks in my mind, and we heard from Chief Moore that one of his young officers was hit in the head with a brick.
Yeah.
It fractured his skull. He was in for surgery. He will recover, but who knows how long that will take.
He said they had to put a steel plate in his head as well, yeah.
And back with you guys here. He's continuing here, Normandy and Beverly, and still fast moving, about 70 miles an hour. My pilot, Saro, is confirming with the air show. Oh gosh,
Wow.
that was so close.
That was very close.
Wow. My pilot is confirming with the airship. Whenever the pilot gets a moment to speak to the airship, he's trying to confirm that is in fact the want, which was what we originally heard over the scanner, was that it was for fireworks. But you would think that this is might be considered a little much if it was just fireworks. And as you said, Colleen, if nobody got hurt, considering just how busy all of our resources are here in the city of Los Angeles.
But this has
but for now-
escalated. This has escalated to way more than a prank with fireworks right now. We've seen him almost clip one car. He's gotten on the freeway, gotten off, but he's also crossed over that line. There he is on the wrong side of the road right now.
Yeah, wrong side of the road, and of course also driving recklessly and driving at fast speeds through the streets here in the area, running red lights, running stop signs. So even if the original want wasn't anything that excessive, he's added to that list ever since. He's now on a smaller street called Maplewood, and he's kind of maneuvering through the neighborhood. Perhaps he's trying to find his way back to the freeway, and the nearest freeway would be the 101 building. So he's coming up to the Hollywood area. Now I'm concerned about that because we saw how many people are still out there in the Hollywood area. A lot of pedestrians still protesting in the streets. So that's of concern, because if he gets up to some of those protesters, you don't know if he's going to be able to slow down in time. But currently making his way here northbound into the Hollywood area.
Well, you picked the chase up at Hyperion, around that area, is that correct?
That's correct, Chuck. Around Hyperion, near somewhat near Silver Lake, just on the west side of Silver Lake, and then he made his way southbound, and he got onto Sunset. So we followed him on Sunset to where it became Cesar Chavez in the Echo Park area, and that's where he picked up the 101 freeway. He jumped on the 101 north at Cesar Chavez, and then exited the freeway again. I believe it was near Olympic, and has been on surface streets ever since.
So we have no idea where the incident occurred with the fireworks.
We don't. We know it was somewhere in the Hollywood area because the airship that we saw was around that area. And I just lost him behind that building. He just went to the east on Sunset, so we're going to try to catch up to him there.
He goes.
And he's making these random U-turns, which is what's making it difficult for us to keep track here. But Sorrow found him out his window just now. And now you saw when he made that U-turn, now he has two units of the LAPD right behind him.
And he's back on Sunset?
Yeah, so this is Sunset in front of the Netflix building. So it's like Sunset and Bronson. We were out here earlier covering the protests, and he's making a southbound turn here. This isn't Bronson, but it's Tamarind. So it's Tamarind. It's just one street to the west of Bronson.
Okay, as he continues along there, if I remember correctly, he can pick up another street that goes parallel to Sunset there. Is it Fountain? Maybe you just crossed over that?
I think it was probably Fountain.
Yeah, and then I believe also Santa Monica is going to come up too. So it's a few majors that are going to come up here, and he's going to have some options. And he can still get on the freeway if he so chooses. He would just have to go left on whatever major he comes up to. So now he's, sure enough, Santa Monica was his choice, but he's going right, which is going to put him away from the freeway.
But he's heading in the direction of the protesters that we were watching earlier. I mean, he's still like 4 miles away from them probably, but...
Yeah, but at the speeds that he's moving at, he could get over there very quickly. And when someone is desperate like this, my concern is that he's just not going to stop.
You know, it's interesting. We're not seeing any pedestrians out there, but we are seeing a lot of cars on the street, even though the curfew is, almost 2.5 hours now in effect?
Yeah, so people shouldn't be driving on the roads at this point. If they're in LA County, you sure enough shouldn't be walking on the street at this point because you could get arrested. And so that will at least put less people in the mix if people aren't out and about. But unfortunately, there's still some people who aren't heeding to the curfew. And now he's going to come up to a T Street here. So he's on Gower. Again, this is a street that we were on earlier today when we were covering the protesters. And so now he's on Gower with 2 units of the LAPD behind him, as well as the LAPD airship overhead.
Is he going north or south on Gower?
He's going
Actually,
south on Gower.
It doesn't really matter,
Paramount
does it?
Studios there.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's by Paramount.
Yeah, he just made the turn there on Melrose. So Melrose from Gower.
Long time ago, Chuck, I used to work in that area. We called it Gower Gulch.
Yeah.
I remember
True
that
enough.
well.
And the pursuit's going to come right under us, so we'll try to avoid having the camera spin, but sometimes it'll do that. But we'll try to keep track of it here as it comes under us. Again, Melrose and Gower are going to be the majors.
So he's heading back to the freeway.
Ridgewood. Yeah, so heading back towards the freeway. We'll see if that's what he decides to do, is to get back on the freeway. If he does, are still relatively light. And that would actually help to put, or rather just to diminish the amount of obstacles that will be in his way in terms of pedestrians and then other cars, because again, the freeways are still rather light here through the area.
Eliana, I just have a crazy little question here. Every now and then we see a little light. It almost looks like a laser light.
I was ask exactly about that,
and
Chuck.
then it goes away and it's kind of a squiggly line. Is that a reflection, or are they using a laser on him?
I believe
there it
that's
is
going
right there.
to be just, there it is. I think that's a reflection of the light of the night sun on our lens. It happens from time to time. And the airship did actually say that he was having issues with his night sun, which we can tell, which is why it's kind of flickering. And I believe that's why we're seeing that,
back on the
that
freeway,
little light show up every now and then. Yeah, so now it's on the freeway, and he's going to be getting on the 101. I'll give you the direction here in a moment. I believe it's going to be southbound, though. So, yeah, it's going to be southbound 101. And the direction that he's going in now will take him into the downtown LA area.
So, basically, he's made a huge circle. I mean, Hyperion's not that far from where he is now.
Yeah, he basically went. Yeah, a big loop. He went one way on the 101, and now he's going the other way on the 101. This is right at Vermont. It's where the 101 splits, where you can see that there's a little divider between the freeway between the north and southbound side. But I'm going to widen out the shot now since he's on the freeway. We're less likely to lose him.
Behind him is picking up speed as well, trying to close in a little bit.
Yeah, because they could easily lose this guy. He's going so fast. I think he's going at 100. Yeah, let me put the camera right on him.
Your speedometer just is fluctuating between 100 and 120 miles an hour. Do we have any idea how many people are in this SUV?
We haven't heard over the scanner how many people the police think are in there, but we've tried to check, and those windows are just so darkly tinted. I can just barely make out a figure in the driver's seat, but we can't see anybody else inside. And at no point during this pursuit have we seen them lower the window or throw anything out or anything of that nature that would help us to determine if people are in certain seats within the car. But wow, look at these speeds, guys. He is really booking and trying to get away from authorities.
And this is the LAPD in pursuit here?
Still the LAPD, but because we're now on the freeway, the CHP could take over. And the reason why that would be best in this situation would be that the CHP is the police of the freeway system. So even though certain units of the CHP would take over here, if he got on other portions of the freeway, different units of the CHP would be able to come in.
Is he getting on the 110 or what is? Yeah.
Yeah, he's going 110 south. So this is going to put him just next to the buildings in downtown LA. It's going to put him just west of all of the big buildings in the heart of Los Angeles. This was a portion of the freeway that was shut down on Friday with all of those protesters. Fortunately, no protesters out here tonight as he continues southbound 110.
You know, it's interesting. Last night we heard from the police chief in Beach that so many people were trying to divert attention from the issue at hand that they and an airship over this. It makes you almost wonder that might not be a concerted effort here as well.
It very well could be, especially if the WA is what we originally heard it was, which was throwing fireworks at the officers. It very well could be a distraction to get some of the attention away from some of the looting that is taking place. But I can guarantee you,
and resources
the LAPD
as well.
Exactly. It takes away 2 ground units. And I'm sure they have plenty of ground units, so maybe those 2 ground units don't play that big of a factor. But it also takes away an airship, and that they don't have as many of. So 1 airship is now completely devoted to this, in addition to the 2 units that are now following this suspect south on the 110.
Boy, I can't believe that SUV can go that fast.
Yeah, I was going to ask you if your speedometer is really working there, Ileana, because he's gone up over 120 miles an hour there.
And I believe it's actually correct. I know it's hard to believe, but I'm also listening on the scanner just to kind of confirm the numbers that we're getting. And we are hearing anywhere from 100 to 120. So that sounds about right.
Oh my gosh.
Incredibly, though. I mean, to be honest, we're having trouble keeping up. That's why we're kind of so far back here. He's heading southbound here on the 110. So this is the Harbor Freeway. He's going to pass right by USC, right by the Coliseum, and really just using any lane that he needs to get by as he continues here southbound 110.
Oh boy, he looks like he almost started to lose control there. So he's already past the 10, correct?
Yeah, so he's already south of the 10 freeway, and so we had to ask for a special permission here from LAX to let us work in their airspace, and so that's why we'll hopefully get a little closer as minutes go on here. But he's going to be just on that other portion of the 10. This is where we've got that express lane that goes above. And he may be temporarily obstructed by it, but hopefully we'll be able to keep tabs on him here. But watch that CHP unit, or rather the LAPD unit. He's really trying to keep up. I mean, we're still looking at, what, 100, 110 miles an hour? And I believe it, because this is fast.
Look at that.
Yeah, you know, it almost looked like he had done some damage, like he might have hit something on the freeway there. But he looks like he's up and running. And tires seem okay.
You know, and to Colleen's point, tossing fireworks at an officer or several officers. Man, we're expending a lot of time and resources here on something like that might seem almost kind of petty. But I understand if you're an officer and you have some projectile, thrown at you, it's a big deal. But still,
Yeah, the LAPD, Chuck, you're right, has 13,000 officers, and they're doing shifts of 12 on, 12 off, and they're trying to maximize and get as many people on. But the one airship, to take the airship out of the mix here, when they're using those airships to track, large groups of people, to track looters and things like that, that really does take a major resource out of the mix here.
So now he's going parallel to the freeway on surface streets.
Yeah, parallel to the freeway. Yeah, just on the other side of that retaining wall. So now we're going to see him. I was going to say we couldn't see him, but now we can. He's 69th and Flower. So this is going to be the South LA area. And just based off of our previous experience, we know that people tend to return to an area that is familiar to them. So perhaps this is an area that is familiar to this individual. And I could have sworn I saw someone in the back seat. When you made that turn, I thought I saw someone in the passengers or in the back seat there, in the middle seat. But perhaps it could have been a reflection of the light. But it did appear that there was somebody sitting in the back.
Almost makes you wonder why they don't grab a plate on this guy and then try to track him that way. So they must know something we don't.
If it has a plate.
Well, that's true, too.
If it has a plate, or sometimes it could be a cold-plated vehicle. And we've talked about this before. Cold-plated vehicles are cars that have a license plate on them, but the license plate doesn't correspond to the type of car. So we saw that in a pursuit that we had a few weeks back. Yeah, this one does have a plate, but I'm sure they ran it, and it's unclear at this point if perhaps it came back stolen, or if it does come back to the registered owner. But for whatever reason, this person is still just refusing to stop.
So you're on Florence Avenue, just crossed over Avalon?
Yeah, so Florence coming away from the 110, and those speeds are accurate. These are surface streets, guys, 100 miles an hour. This is just so incredibly dangerous. Oh my gosh. I pray that he doesn't get a red light, because I don't think he's going to stop. This is a very fast here on Florence, 100 miles an hour.
And remember, that is a heavy vehicle, so if it does strike something, it'll make a heck of a mess.
Yeah, what does it look like, Chuck? An Expedition, maybe?
Something like that. I can't tell, but it's a late model. It's not a new one.
He's turning.
He's going so fast that it's hard to even keep up with the addresses and the street signs that you're flashing on the mapping.
Yeah, I knew he was on Florence, but I missed every cross that he came up to because he was going so fast. He just made a turn there. I believe that's going to be Compton, and he's going southbound. So southbound on Compton,
is there something coming
up? I'm going to
up?
push in here one more time. He's going to make yet another turn there on Compton, and now
that's it.
And now they're running. Okay, so we're going to try to stay with the driver.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5.
Wow.
5 people bailed out.
So there was definitely more than one, that's for sure. But we're going to stay with the driver. It's just because he was the person that was driving during the course of this pursuit. So we're going to stay with this guy, and I'm going to go into infrared to be better able to see. Right at our 1 o'clock star, you should see the night sun. He's just on the backside of those trees, so that's where we last saw him. But you guys saw it as we did. Everyone's scattering there, and there's the LAPD pulling up right now, trying to get some officers into place, but that's not even the direction that the driver went in. The driver went this way. They're going to go after some of the passengers. There's an individual there, but I don't believe he was involved in any way. I think he's just a resident, just kind of taking everything all in. But we last saw the driver here on this street. It's going to be, I hope I'm saying that correctly, I think it's Antwerp Street here in South Los Angeles.
This is one of those cases where the suspects outnumbered the police that were following him, because there's only 4 officers, but we counted 5 coming out of the car.
Oh, you just had another squad car just pulled up.
Okay,
It
now
looked
you got another
like
one.
a couple more.
Yeah,
but nobody seems to be looking in that direction where the driver went.
Exactly. They're saturating the neighborhood, but at this point they're just focusing over in the direction that the passengers ran. But I believe that's going to be a cruiser. Perhaps that's a cruiser there. It's definitely a car that's arriving on scene there. And I see an individual walking away, but he doesn't match he doesn't match the clothing of the person that we saw running away. But again, the last location
Yeah,
that
there are
we
a couple
saw that
people
individual
there.
would have been that area right there.
I would assume this is going to be pretty time consuming if they ever find the people who are in that car. Do you know if the airship was able to keep up with anyone?
Well,
Yeah, so we're hearing that
they
some
think they
arrests
have
are
something.
taking place, and that's the direction that the passengers ran in, so it appears that at least some of the passengers are being taken into custody.
Yeah, 3 of them went over to the right.
Correct.
One went down the street one way, and the other one went up the street another way. Yeah.
Yeah, so it looks like it was. There's another guy right there. So we're hearing that another suspect is right under the night sun. They're in very close to Nadeau and to Antwerp Street. And we're going to continue, of course, to monitor everything that's going on here on the scanner, but we're going to start to make our way back to Hollywood.
Well, that should take you, what, 10 minutes? Maybe not even that.
As the chopper flies,
it should
Chuck.
take us about 10 minutes to get back to
About
Hollywood. So
10
we're going to go
minutes.
back there. We, of course, don't want to lose focus on the importance of today's protest in that area. So we're going to start making our way back to the north.
Let's remind people what this all started with. This started up in the Hollywood area to begin with. We saw officers scatter with their lights on. It appeared to be an emergency of some sort, or perhaps a call for help. But someone had thrown fireworks. That was the original want on this. Someone had thrown fireworks at police officers or sheriff's deputies or someone there, some sort of law enforcement. And that's why they took off and the chase ensued. Do we have any more information on what's going on in Riverside as well right now?
Jack, where...
Well, we're going to stay with Eliana's pictures as she heads back to Hollywood. It is a gorgeous shot, gorgeous night out there. So online, obviously you're watching us. That's what we're going to do until she gets in position. Probably take her, she estimated, about 10 minutes or so. And Colleen and I will rejoin you live on NBC4 at 11 o'clock for all the news. And we hope to see you then as well.
ప్రజల్లో ఎక్కడ కూడా ఎటువంటి ఆర్భాటాలు చేయవద్దు. చాలా సింపుల్ గా చాలా
10-4, Jack. We can do Hollywood for about 20 minutes, and then, well, it'll be 20 minutes from now, and then we'll need fuel at that point. Will do. There is? Where? Right under us? On the freeway or? Oh, right there? Okay. This truck, you sure? Yeah. He's right on my side, but that's an unmarked unit. Hopefully Gil can hear me. Hey, Gil from Alpha on the 450. He's northbound 110, right next to Dodgers. It's a white truck. They just put a marked unit behind it. It's got a bunch of stuff in the back. Awesome. I'll watch it for you because it's going through the tunnels. Cool. Did they tell you what the want was? No? Oops. Jack, we did not hear the want. We hear Gil is in place, so we're going to go peek at Hollywood before we get some fuel. We're heading to Hollywood. I'm just going to keep my eyes on it. Oh, Rampart has another one. Tech 2, channel 40. There's another one. Copy that, Jet. Copy that, Kill. We'll try to get it. There's another one. Let's go to La Brea. La Brea and Lamprey. Wanted for ADW. On a police officer. Yeah. La Brea and Fountain. Okay, cool. We're almost there.
Assignment desk from Bravo. Do you know if we're streaming? you say yes? Jack, I'm sorry, did you say yes or not yet? Oh. Okay, no worries. He's got traffic here, he's got construction here. Into the cone zone. Northbound 110 heading to South Pasadena. He's got nowhere to go right here, oh no! The CHP and a fire truck right there. He went through the cone zone right into those units and was able to squeeze by, but wow, what a close call for those. That CHP and several fire trucks there that are along the 110 freeway. Wow, some construction here on the 110 freeway. This truck desperate to get away. This is a Culver City police chase. Hey Jack, did you say we are streaming now? Copy, thank you. Good evening everybody and thank you for joining us on the web. This is Gil Levis in News Chopper 4 Bravo along with my pilot Mike Rodriguez. We're over a police chase. It's Culver City police that have been chasing this white pickup truck. Right now he's northbound 110 freeway. He's already came past the 5 freeway, so he's heading towards South Pasadena. He's going to run out of freeways shortly, but he had some close calls on the freeway here as he came up to a cone zone, went into the cone zone, and then approached a CHP unit that was guarding several fire trucks along the freeway on the right 2 lanes, and nearly collided with that CHP that was stopped there. We got several units behind it, northbound 110 freeway. And he's coming up to the end of the freeway right now. It's going to put him into the South Pasadena area. Here he comes to the end of the freeway. And it's going to put him right off a green light. Fortunately, they're squeezing by that car. Notifying Pasadena, South Pasadena PD. You see a couple of units there as he blows through the intersections. If he keeps this direction going, he's going to run into the 210 freeway. Ran through that red light. Pasadena PD being notified right now. He's a high rate of speed here, hard on the brakes. He's going to intersection here. He's going to make a right turn there, wide right turn, eastbound. Eastbound on, I believe this is Green Street. We are into PV. Thank you. Eastbound Green at Euclid, right through the intersection there. Wow, high rates of speed here. He's in a tree-lined street here. He's going to continue to pop in and out of trees. Green Avenue, yeah, crossing Hudson. Crossing Lake. Oh, really close call there at Lake. That's unbelievable. The speeds here we're looking at on surface streets here while he's hard on the brakes right now. He's got an intersection. He's setting up to turn left. Left turn. This is going to be on Catalina. And he might be running out of steam here. He's got to be bailing. He's right under us, Mike, my side. Bailing out. There goes the passenger. There's the driver with the hands out. And he's going to go right down the passenger. Those units right there are going to go after the passenger. The driver has pretty much said enough's enough. I've had it. And he's down on the ground. This is Catalina Avenue and Colorado Boulevard. I have exhaust. 6 o'clock. Driver at gunpoint. Other officers there on the sidewalk. These other officers are running after the passenger. The driver, look at that. He just assumed the position there on the ground. He put his hands behind his back and said, that's it, I've had it. He was at a high rate of speed on the 110 freeway. Culver City police were chasing this vehicle. Here's another person coming out of the vehicle. Out of the rear. That's the third, at least the third person that came out of the vehicle right there is being taken into custody. Here's a tighter shot of that person being walked away. Came out of the back rear of the pickup truck. The driver in the meantime on the ground there. Now they'll make their arrest on the driver, and that'll do it for this chase. Unknown if the third person that we saw, the first one out of the car that ran into the parking lot, is in custody or not, but this driver is in custody. One other passenger and a bunch of officers that took off after the passenger. Okay, we're done. This is Catalina Avenue and East Colorado Boulevard. We're done. A couple of police chases tonight. This one ending in Pasadena, Catalina, and Colorado. Culver City PD assisted by the CHP on this one. Yeah, that one is over. Suspects in custody. Yeah, it's Pasadena right now, Pasadena. What is going on here? There's units rolling south. A couple more units here, Jack, rolling south. We're going to look at what they're looking at. Is there an airship there? There might be another. Okay, there might be another chase over here that Pasadena's going to. Off our nose is the airship. Is he going down the freeway? They did stop on the curve. Okay, it's stopped. We're done. We're going to Hollywood. Sunset and Highland. Oh, okay, Jamie, thank you. Sunset and Vine 87 in custody. I do. I think it's going to be a little south. Right. Right under us, there's supposed to be a bunch of people in custody. I don't see 87 people. Oh, maybe here. Let's see. Yeah, that's it. That might be it. There they are. They're on the south side of the street, south of the parking structure. Simon Des, Bravo, Jack or Jamie, did you guys get this shot already? It's 6 o'clock. Okay. Hey, Jack and Jamie, this is what I'm hearing from LAPD is 87 people, 87 in custody. DeLongpre between Ivar and Vine. Is there any way we can just get just north of the parking structure, like right over it and steep? You have eyes on it, right? Oh, you don't. Let me come out. See the Cinerama Dome? Yeah. See the Cinerama Dome? Yeah. Just behind it. Yeah, much better. Yeah, much better. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 30. Yeah, there's definitely at least 80. Did we lose the AC? Oh, it's okay. So those lights. I think the lights of the parking structure are getting in my lens. If you go west, yeah, that should clear it up just a little bit. Cahuenga and Sunset. Yeah. Yeah. I see. Okay. That might be over here, Mike. Do you smell that? Is that us or is that the fire? I think it's us. Yep, it smells like a belt. Unbelievable. Do you, shoot, it might, there's some flares over here, back at our 4 o'clock. Do you see anything up there at the Cahuenga Pass? No, it might be those flares, but I don't see any smoke. Yeah, it is. It is. I can smell. I could tell it's the AC belt. Can you do a quick flight down the 101 there? I want to see what these. I think that might just be. Okay. Okay. Copy. Okay. Copy that. Sunset and Cahuenga. Jack, here's Sunset and Cahuenga, CNN building. This is right around the corner from those 87 that are in custody. I don't. I'm guessing it's for the curfew. This thing is out my 9 o'clock. You got it? Okay. 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 Sunset Boulevard and Schrader, Jack. Sunset and Schrader. They're going to be making some arrests here. People sitting on the curb. Oh, you were? Okay. Yeah, they're talking about towing cars away. They have about 30 cars to tow. Okay, Eliana got this earlier. Where was that bus at? Was we can cruise. What are those cars? Got him. He's in this. Right off our. Hut. Okay, Jack. If you hear me, this is DeLongpre and Hudson. DeLongpre and Hudson. This was a man with a gun that was running from police. Man with a gun. Hudson and DeLongpre. All right, I think we can move on from this. He's in custody. That's over. Okay, cool. Here's a shot of one of the cars being towed away. Curfew. This is interesting. Those cops. They are. Hey, Jack, this is officers being transported in a trunk. oh. Oh my God. Maybe. Maybe. Oh no. Wow. Yeah, for sure. Right. Boy, that was interesting to see some creative mobilization there in a looked like a civilian vehicle. Officers pouring out of that four-door sedan, using the trunk to move some of the officers in a van as well. Right near the CNN building there, Sunset and Cahuenga. Here's a line, Jack, here's a line of arrestees. They're going into the sheriff's van. This is Sunset and Gower. Okay, we can move along. How much? Okay, Jack, about hour and 40 minutes. 1 hour and 40 minutes. These are more arrests at Romaine and Sycamore. Let's turn left, Mike. Hollywood and La Brea over here on the 9 o'clock. I don't see anything there. Okay. We could take a look. I did hear Anaheim having some issues. South Coast Plaza, okay. From where we're at right now for South Coast Plaza is about 20 minutes. Okay. Yes. Okay, sounds good. No. No. Hey Jack, just so you know, we're going to land at the Echo Park building real quick to clean the lens. I got a couple of bugs on it.
It's in the vicinity of the space station and attached to the space station. So that was a huge learning curve for crew. We human rated a spacecraft for a portion of the mission, and then for crew you just have to obviously expand it for the whole mission. And then the last part was Cargo Dragon has been this amazing test bed for commercial crew. And what that means is we were able to test out like heat shield materials and parachute materials on Cargo Dragon before they ever flew on Crew Dragon.
Very cool. And that's just one part of the equation. Lars, walk us through, again, just the flight history of Falcon 9 from the humble beginnings to where we are today.
Well, Falcon 9 first flew almost 10 years ago today. And even though the first version of that rocket couldn't carry humans, the fundamental design was made with that goal in mind. Over the course of 87 launches, we've steadily improved the rocket so that now it has twice the payload to orbit that we started out with. We can land and reuse the first stage and the fairing, and most importantly for today, we have the reliability that we need for humans. Now, what's interesting is that that reliability has come from steady upgrades and almost a decade of flight experience. But it's actually quite hard to prove reliability. This is something that the commercial airline industry has been grappling with for decades. And just like them, we rely on lots and lots of testing. So for instance, if you take the Merlin 1D engine, that has to fly for about 6 minutes continuously to get to orbit. We took one of those and ran it for more than 250 minutes to get the statistical proof of reliability that we need. So it's that testing and lots of analysis that gives us and NASA the confidence that Falcon is ready to fly humans for the first time.
And obviously a lot of additional upgrades, a lot of additional testing had to go just to make sure that both of these vehicles were human rated. So walk us through some of the specific upgrades to Dragon to meet that criteria.
So the first one's pretty obvious. We had a Cargo Dragon. It has lots of cargo cubbies, so we took all of those out, replaced it with astronaut seats, crew displays, and crew controls. But one thing that people may not know is on Cargo Dragon, we've actually been flying mice to and from the International Space Station for years. And what that meant was we had to design an environmental control and life support system for Dragon years ago. It provides oxygen, it scrubs carbon dioxide, and among other things, controls temperature and relative humidity. So even though that was done on a smaller scale for mice, it was a great learning curve on how to help man-rate a spacecraft when you have to do it for humans.
And then, Lars, same question. What kind of specific upgrades had to go into it to certify Falcon 9 for this day?
Well, I already mentioned the reliability upgrades. One upgrade that I think is particularly interesting is the launch abort trigger. So people probably know that Dragon has the ability in mid-flight to separate from Falcon and boost the astronauts away to safety in the case that there's some kind of emergency. And that could be triggered by the astronauts or by the ground crew. What people may not know is that Falcon itself has the ability to cause that trigger. And it will do that entirely autonomously using algorithms, software, and sensors. And that's particularly important in the case of a time-critical fault, where aborting quickly means aborting safely. And in some cases, Falcon can do this quicker than 0.3 of a second, so much faster than a human.
And Lars, I'm going to pause right there for a sec. We're getting some comm from the crew. And so coming up shortly, we're going to hear these communication checks. Bob and Doug are going to be talking to several positions down on the ground, and they're going to be using both communication speakers inside of Dragon and inside their suits in a series of communications checks. They're also going to be doing these checks over different satellites and ground stations.
PLT, comm check, umbilical.
CDR, loud and clear. PLT, loud and clear.
Core, loud and clear. Umbilical comm check complete. Stand by for ground station comm check.
And you'll hear him referred to CDR as Doug Hurley, that's the commander, PLT pilot, that's Bob Bankin. And so that first one we heard was through the umbilical, so that communication linked directly into their suit. Now they're going to do a communication check over the ground stations. We'll also hear one over TDRS, that's the tracking and data relay satellites. Same satellites we use to talk to the International Space Station, that's what we'll be using to talk and track Dragon throughout its entire flight. So again, just waiting for a moment for the teams to continue configuring everything. They're going to do these ground checkouts now, and you're going to be hearing them talk directly to the core. It's the crew operations responsible engineer. That's essentially the Capcom if you followed NASA missions in the past. It's a position right here in Hawthorne at SpaceX Mission Control, which is just a few feet away from us, where the team's going to be watching over Bob and Doug for their entire flight. That's where the main person whose job it is to talk to them is going to be sitting. We'll also hear them do some checkouts with the launch director down there at the Cape inside firing room 4. And you'll be hearing those very characteristic beeps.
Dragon SpaceX, com check.
SpaceX Dragon, weak but readable.
Copy, we have you the same. Stand by, we're still configuring for ground station com check.
Dragon copy.
And just to further explain some of those voice protocols that you're going to hear, you might be used to hearing Houston Station or Houston Shuttle or Houston Endeavour back when we were flying those specific shuttles. You're going to hear SpaceX Dragon. That's the SpaceX team calling the Dragon team on orbit. And then Bob and Doug will be able to respond. And so they're going to continue to configure. We'll get these ground station checkouts momentarily. And just a reminder, you're going to hear that very unique beeping sound. That's called a quindar, and that's been something that's been used throughout space-to-ground or air-to-ground communications throughout spaceflight history, and that's really just for teams who are in mission control or supporting a launch. Know when you hear that sound, it's time to listen.
Dragon, SpaceX, com check, ground station.
Dragon has you loud and clear, much better, Jay.
And core, loud and clear, ground station com check complete. Stand by for TDRS com check. Dragon, SpaceX, com check, TDRS.
SpaceX Dragon, loud and clear.
Core, loud and clear, TDRS com check complete. Stand by for checks with MD, LD in the launch configuration.
Dragon, MD on countdown 1, com check.
Jason, we've got you loud and clear. How you doing?
Doing great. How you guys doing in there? Stand by for com checks.
Ready to launch a spaceship.
Agree. And stand by for com checks over Dragon to ground. Dragon, MD on Dragon to ground, com check.
Loud and clear.
MD, loud and clear. Stand by for com checks with LD.
Dragon, launch director on countdown 1, com check.
Mike, we've got you loud and clear. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. Let me try on Dragon to ground 1. Dragon, SpaceX launch director on Dragon to ground 1, com check.
Loud and clear.
Have you the same?
Dragon, SpaceX, launch configuration com checks are complete. Report when ready for seat rotation for section 2 of 4.100.
SpaceX Dragon, we're ready for seat rotation.
Copy, ready for seat rotation. We will report when initiating.
All right, so that wraps up those communications checks. Everything going good with the spacecraft. Bob and Doug talking to the teams on the ground. Pretty soon they're going to get their seats rotated. Bringing you back inside Hawthorne real quick, I do want to thank Jessica and Lars for joining me real quick, giving us that great insight into Dragon and Falcon 9. Hope you guys got a good spot staked out to watch a launch today. It's great to have you on.
Absolutely.
All right.
Excited.
So we're going to throw it now down to Gary Jordan at Mission Control Houston, who I know is also following along. Over to you, Gary.
Thanks, Dan. Great to hear good checks from Bob and Doug in the Dragon vehicle. Here in Mission Control Houston, Flight Director Zeb Scoville has pulled space station flight controllers, and all systems are go for launch. Essentially, the station is prepared for Dragon to arrive 19 hours after launch. Flight controllers here will continue to monitor the countdown, but really it's up to the teams in Kennedy and Hawthorne to get us to liftoff at this point. So we want to hear your comments as we continue to count down to launch. So let's go to the social desk now to hear it.
Thanks, Gary. So taking a quick look at those numbers right now, there are now 1 million people watching our coverage, and Launch America is up to the #1 trending hashtag on Twitter. So let's take a closer look at what's being said online. Okay, so right now we have Art Alexandria, and it looks like she's got a personal self-portrait, cosmic for sure, in her NASA flight suit. And guys, this is what I'm loving seeing online with this hashtag, is how everyone around the nation is making this launch uniquely theirs. And I want to point out one line in her post that says, "I believe that no matter how far the future is, we are on our way towards it." And guys, I couldn't have said it better myself. That's what today represents. Let's take another look. Oh my goodness. Okay, so right now we have Jessica with her space pup getting ready for liftoff. And guys, I'm not gonna lie, we love to see it. So please, if you have any space pets, comment using hashtag LaunchAmerica. As you can see, everybody is thrilled to be a